Good morning, my fellow hermits. Today what we're going to be doing is a love reading. Although if you have a different relationship on your mind, feel free to still jump in and use the messages here today, just in a friendly context. We're going to be talking about where this connection is headed. So as always, we're going to start with an energy check to ensure that the pile that you have chosen is the right pile. You can choose by crystal, you can choose by tarot card, you can choose by both, whichever speaks to you the most. And then once you have confirmed that that is your pile, we will get into the nitty-gritty, how this person is feeling, where this person thinks that the connection is going to go, where you think the connection is going to go, how it's actually going to go, and so on and so forth. And then we'll get into some advice at the end. So feel free to choose a pile. If you find during that pile that you don't resonate with those messages, you can choose another one. You can wait until we do another reading, but without further ado, let's get into it. Hello, pile one, and welcome to your reading. You chose the rose quartz, which is typically associated with love and romance. And the card that you chose is this very beautiful passion for purpose, number 2. We're going to get into the meaning of this and where the connection is headed a little bit later into the reading. I want to do the energy check first just to ensure that this is the right pile for you. But a lesson that you've been learning in love recently is what is meant for someone else is not typically meant for you. And we'll get more into the message of this as we get into the relationship. To make sure that this is your pile, we're going to start shuffling here, and we're going to do a person A, person B format. So the connecting energies between the two of you are the Seven of Pentacles and the Fool in reverse, or the Fools. I've never seen it plural. Seven of Pentacles. You have planted the seed of this relationship, and you're wondering whether or not it's going to flourish. You're both in a position where you don't really know where this is going to go and how this is going to develop over time. This seems like a slow, steady relationship thus far, but with the Fools in reverse, I like that it's plural because this might apply to the both of you. You're terrified to take the risk with this type of relationship or with this relationship in general because you're afraid that the risks of the connection are going to outweigh the benefits. Neither one of you has the confidence right now to either develop it further or to engage this relationship. So it's not necessarily coming off the ground. The Fool can also talk about somebody that is maybe a little bit non-committal, not really interested in settling down quite yet with somebody. They might be going around a lot and flirting. They might be a little bit overconfident and haven't really done their research about relationships or about the person in question. So obviously, like, I see why you're here today, because you're wondering whether or not this is going to work. And this guy gives me very business. You're kind of approaching this in a logical direction, one or both of you, viewing this as almost a business partnership. And maybe it is. Again, this doesn't have to be romantically related. Anyway, person A. I don't know if this is you. I don't know if this is the other person, but you'll know if this is your pile based on what I've said in the middle here. They're in their shadow attribute right now. So typically they are delighted with arts without having to be a professional. They don't want to become a superficial person. They want to pursue art because they have a passion for it, relating back to the card that we had in the beginning almost. But in their shadow attribute, there is pretension to much deeper knowledge than you actually possess. So this person might be projecting themselves in a way that is not truthful to how they feel, and they might be the type of person that is fulfilling the expectations that other people have about them. They're trying to assimilate, even though it's not particularly what they want for themselves. Because of that, they're getting in the way of their own passion. So they're not showing up as themselves in this connection, perhaps, or in their real life. Their role in this relationship, or what they've done thus far, is represented by the King of Bones, the Five of Bones in reverse, and the Sun in reverse. They're not really going through a good time right now. We'll start with the King of Bones. This is the King of Wands, and this is somebody who cares deeply about their accomplishments. They're usually very passionate about how they navigate their life. They are the type of person where they walk into a room and people just absolutely love them. They're very charismatic. They have a lot of accomplishments and achievements underneath their belts already. They're older, wiser, but they haven't yet lost that spark for adventure. And this could be a Leo, actually, with the Sun card in reverse. They right now aren't going through a good time. With the Five of Bones, they're at war with themselves almost, and they feel disappointed and sad about that. Their plans have really failed, and I'm getting the need to kind of ask clarification about this card. Clarify the Five of Bones, please. Why do they feel the way they feel right now? I'm getting messages as I'm shuffling about them not really being themselves, because the Sun could talk about plans failing, and maybe they had this whole plan for their life that their achievements have led up to. They already have the groundwork and their passion built, but they're disappointed in it for some reason, and they have this internal conflict because I think that they've been avoiding themselves and they haven't yet been honest about who they are. They're doing this for the wrong reasons. They're moving through life wanting more recognition and wanting more attention than what they feel that they're being given, but they're disappointed because it's not what they wanted. And it could be that they're disappointed in themselves, not necessarily you or this connection. And that's why they might be struggling a little bit. In terms of what they want or what their motivation is for being in this connection, you have the Ten of Swords. They might have been through a recent breakup, or the relationship has been tested recently, and they feel like they have to let go of something in order to step into this new chapter, or they might feel like love just isn't in the cards for them and that they're never going to love again after what they've been through. Can I get more clarification about the Ten of Swords? Page of Pentacles in reverse. They don't feel stable enough for this connection, whether that is monetary wise, patience wise. They don't feel like they're able to create a solid foundation for this connection, and that's why there's hesitance. Their commitment is lacking in general. I'm getting the feeling this person might be more avoidant, and maybe they've been using work as a way to escape their own feelings. They want the reward of the relationship without really putting any of the effort into it. And they just feel stuck, like they can't let go of whatever it is that has been happening. So what can't they let go of? That's what I want to know. So I take this how it resonates, but I see three potential possibilities for what this card means. This is definitely a person. It could be a water sign of some kind, but it doesn't have to be. That is Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. This relationship did not fulfill them. And there were empty promises, empty follow-throughs that happened. It could be that this relationship just never happened itself. That's also a possibility. But for whatever reason, this person just can't let go of the fact that nothing happened the way that they wanted it to go. And that could be why they're so disappointed in themselves. It could be that they were the reason that the relationship did not reach its fulfillment, or why the relationship ended the way that it did. They could be blaming themselves and recognizing the fact that they weren't showing up in the way that they should have been showing up, that they were looking for attention and validation from other people instead of pursuing this relationship. You could maybe apply that to the other person as well. Person B, maybe they were this Knight of Goblets. They might have been the one to not fulfill this relationship and follow through with it. Obviously, take what resonates for your situation, but that's what I'm gathering from the Knight of Goblets. It's really hard to let go of something that just never happened. Because online too, like, you see this discourse a lot of, I'm mourning a situationship that I had for like a few months versus a relationship that I've had for 2 years. When you're in that relationship for 2 years, you have the time to get to know this person, understand why things didn't work, understand them, and you can make peace with your decision knowing that it didn't work. But if a relationship was never completely fulfilled and you never got the chance to fully live out something with another person, that obviously hurts more because you don't know what could have been. You don't know what could have happened out of it. So it's really easy to romanticize the connection that you were in. It's easy to romanticize the person that you're with because they've never proven you wrong, and sometimes that romanticization is more compelling than the actual relationship itself, if that makes sense. Another two interpretations that I have are related to that Page of Pentacles in reverse as well. The Knight of Goblets in reverse can talk about addiction and attempting to escape reality through substance abuse or through the over-romanticization of life. And that could be where this person is at, where they don't feel like they're stable enough for person B because they recognize these elements within themselves, especially because this card itself has a thing of beer on it. So I don't know if this is an addiction to attention, if this is an addiction to a substance of some kind, but I could see that in the cards as well. And the last interpretation that I have with this Knight of Cups in reverse, it could be that they don't feel ready for love again, that something happened in the past to them that really prevented them from fully showing up because it just ruined them. It left them really heartbroken, and nothing could really compare to that previous relationship that they had, and now they feel like there's no chance for them to love again. And I've been in this situation before too, when you get out of a relationship, even if like you don't have any malicious intent and you love this other person, sometimes it feels strange to be still mourning a previous relationship while you're moving into a new relationship, and you start to wonder Am I providing as much as I can in this connection? Am I pouring from an empty cup romantically? Do I still need more time to heal from this previous connection before I move into this new one? And the hard part about romance sometimes and about relationships is that you can't control who's interested in you. You can't control when someone comes into your life and when these feelings appear. So this person might feel like they have to work through some of these feelings a little bit more before they're able to pursue something. Obviously, take it how it resonates, but that's what I see with this Knight of Goblets. And they do love person B. I want to make that clear. It's not that they don't, because this love card did pop out. It says unconditional love, self-love and wholeness, affection and attraction, selflessness. I think that this person just isn't used to people loving them for who they are. They're used to people loving them for their accomplishments. So being in this relationship is making them hesitate because they have to actually address the emotional lack in their life, and they have to be themselves. They have to love themselves in order to move forward in this relationship. And I don't think that that is comfortable for them in this moment of time. They still have a lot to learn, and there's no shame in that. But at the same time, I see why someone would be asking the question of whether or not this is going to work, because you can't really love somebody who doesn't love themselves at the end of the day. That's a really difficult thing to do. So I'm going to clean up person A's side here, and we're going to go into person B. Person B has a lot more facets to their life, and they're in their light attributes. So there's mother. They're very nurturing and patient and unconditionally loving, which I think scares person A a lot. Joy in giving birth to life. I think that this person might be a mother regularly, and if they're not a mother of some kind or a parent of some kind, they might just be a creator, and they constantly create and love all of their creations equally. They're also a student. They're humble and devoted to knowledge. They're a lifelong learner, and they're very open to learning. And they also have the mediator, so they have a gift for negotiating fairness and strategy in personal and professional life, and they see both sides of a situation when it happens. So this person seems pretty well balanced. They're represented by the Hierophant, so this could be Taurus. They also have the Magician. I believe this is Gemini, I want to say, and Virgo. Sorry to forget y'all, Virgos. And then the Lovers is Gemini. So this person might have multiple different elements within their chart. Or there might just be multiple different people that resonate with this pile. They want a traditional relationship out of this connection with the Hierophant. They like structure and laws and organization, and they like learning from this connection particularly. They might have emphasized the fact that they are interested in marrying person A, but they could also maybe feel that same sense of responsibility towards the relationship. They seem old-fashioned in terms of wanting a connection, and they're willing to accept the fact that maybe it's not going to come from passion. The Lovers suggests that they want to make a decision for the sake of their heart, not for the sake of their minds. And they're in a position where they kind of have to choose between maybe their career, maybe their relationship. There's some need for them to explore their highest good. And again, I'm getting marriage messages from this pile. So they might be marriage material, they might be looking for marriage specifically, maybe they're looking for kids and that's why the Mother is here. And then they have the Magician. They're somebody that's very confident in manifesting what they want. I think that they want to go for whatever they manifest, whether that's a person or a relationship of any kind. I'm gonna ask a clarifying question then. the Hierophant. Can you clarify? Well, let's clarify the Lover's card. What are they What are they having to choose? Ace of Bones in reverse, so Ace of Wands. This person feels responsible for this relationship, I think. And the passion for them has started to die down, almost. They feel like this was not what they wanted. And I feel the need to go into the next few cards here. Maybe they don't think that person A wants the same thing that they do as well. 10 of Cups for this connection tells me that this was once a dream come true for them, but now they're living in the reality of the connection. They feel blocked in terms of the joy and bliss that they had before. And even though things aren't necessarily negative per se, the feelings of fun and pleasure that were there feel like they're missing. They're doubting that this is their happy ever after. And they're struggling to find the same level of joy that they had before. So I think that does put a lot of these cards into perspective here, especially the Hierophant. They might be sticking around this connection because they feel like they have to. They feel as though this is their responsibility to be here, even though the passion seems to be dwindling for them. And the Magician card tells me that they might just be trying to manifest something different than what this connection is. Not in an unfaithful type of way, but maybe they're trying to, let's see, what are they trying to manifest in their life right now? What are they trying to manifest in this relationship, I should say? I'm hearing they're having to choose between their passion and their purpose, but that's the same thing. So I think that's just my brain mashing words together. What are they trying to manifest? That was my bad. Ten of Wands. Can we clarify the Ten of Wands? Ace of Blades in reverse and the Nine of Blades upright. So I think that person B is in a position to where they know that things are difficult and they're trying to manifest a partnership in which neither of them give up in spite of the fact that there's a lot that's happening. It's almost like the honeymoon stage has ended and person B is dedicated and loyal and wants to stick around for this relationship, wants to choose this relationship, but they also are going through a lot and it's hard. Sorry to jump into this again post, but I felt compelled to talk more about Castiel's character as I was reading, but I was so focused on maintaining my train of thought that I didn't make the connection between Castiel's character and how person B might be feeling right now. So if you're not familiar with Supernatural, it is this wild show on the CW back in the day, beloved by a whole entire fan base. And there are these two brothers that it follows called the Winchester brothers. Their goal in the beginning is to hunt demons and save the family business. It's essentially like Scooby-Doo, but with two bros, and they go around and they kill these creatures and these monsters from fables. But then as the seasons progress, it addresses heaven and hell, angels and demons, and this weird battle that's going on between them. Castiel is the angel side of the equation, and Castiel is this character that embodies the previous values of the angels in terms of helping people and performing his duty. But as he goes to Earth and he interacts with the Winchester brothers, he starts to realize that the angels are corrupt and not following their true values. So he is stuck in this conflict between performing his duty to the angels and also upholding his values. And I wonder if that's what person B is going through here, where they don't necessarily want to give up on this connection, but it's starting to feel more like a duty to them. So they might be trying to manifest the strength to carry all of these burdens and the strength to carry person A through this relationship. They're carrying it very well. They want to be able to carry it well. However, I think that there are certain things that need to be said in this connection first for them to want to move forward with it. You have the Ace of Blades in reverse, and that talks about the truth, but using it in a more hurtful way almost. So it could be that they've just not been speaking their mind about where this relationship is going, or they're not speaking about this marriage material type of suggestion or this traditional relationship because they're afraid of that being hurtful. But because they're not really communicating that, they're hurting themselves and they're building this anger almost inside of them. I don't want to say anger, but you can only avoid the truth so long and not speak it before eventually you just self-implode, and that might be where this person is headed. They also have the Nine of Swords, and that is anxiety, sleepless nights, having the worst of the worst happen. They want the worst to happen to see if you can navigate that, if you guys can hold this together, if you, person A, is like, I'm saying you, but I don't know if person A is you, so sorry. They want to see if person A sticks around even through the worst. And that's going to be, I think, what helps them make their decision in the end is person A going to show up for me because they care about me? And if they do care about me, then whatever happens moving forward, whatever nightmare that I'm going through, they're going to stick around and they're going to show that. But I feel like they also have the same feelings for person A. They feel like you have insane chemistry with each other, that there's fun here, there's equal interest, there's a burning desire, but there's also this acknowledgement of it's going to take time almost, and maybe they also need to heal from what's going on in their life first and be able to handle all the burdens of what's happening for them right now before they jump into person A. So I feel like you both are in the same position regardless of which message you resonate with, and I feel like you both just don't think that you're in the right position to be in a relationship. It's almost that saying that people have where they're like, well, you have to be fully healed before you get into a relationship and yada yada yada. And yeah, that's true. Like, you do have to be a certain extent of healed, but there's never going to be a full healing period. You're always going to have scars. You're always going to have wounds. But if that is what it takes, if time is of the essence here and you both need to cool down before you jump into something, then I can see how that's also a very logical decision to make and reasonable. So the gist of this pile that I'm getting is that the both of you are really attracted to each other, really love each other, but there's something that's in the way of this connection happening. And I think the overall question of where is this connection headed is more so pertaining to, is this going to happen at all? Is this going to happen in the future? Where are our pals going to lead the both of us? So if you didn't resonate with this pile, get out of here. Thank you for being here. You can go ahead and choose another pile if you felt more attracted to another pile. You could probably see one of the other readings on my channel or maybe see another reader. But if you did resonate, we're going to get into now where this connection is going to be headed. So, passion for purpose. We'll go back to that middle card that you chose at the beginning of the reading. Makes a lot of sense now that I've delved into the deeper parts of your connection. This connection is headed in a direction where you almost have to learn to accept the fact that there's not a one-size-fits-all to life. And I say this a lot in the past few videos. Just because a lot of people resonate with a certain relationship does not mean that it's right for them. And just because other people envision you being with the perfect partner or being with a specific partner, that doesn't mean that that's what you want personally. And it's hard to escape this in society because we live particularly in Western society with social media where attention is currency. And there's a lot of different gunk on social media that tells you what you should want and how you should proceed with your life, particularly in relationships. We have all these videos about if he wanted to, he would, you know, and all this other like advice that is well-meaning but maybe doesn't really apply in the way that we think that it applies. So I think what I'm trying to say with passion for purpose is that you have to separate that level of noise that we have in everyday society from your own personal desires. And once you're able to do that and you're able to figure out whether or not you want this thing, I think that that makes this thing more important to you. And there's a reason why you feel passionately for something. That's the message of this card as well. It talks about how bees are built with these giant bodies and these small wings, and these small wings are able to lift them so that they can do their job. And similarly, whatever you're passionate about, whatever you have deep inside you, that doesn't come from nowhere. That comes from somewhere else. Like whatever you're passionate about is what you're passionate about. You don't need to reason with people. You don't need to rationalize it. It just came to you, you know? It's the same with relationships where you have certain needs that other people might not have. You have certain expectations that other people might not have. And it's okay to want something that is different from what other people expect you to have. And that's what this relationship is probably going to teach you, whether it works out or not. So, what is going to happen for person A in this relationship? How are they going to approach it in the short-term future? And then we'll get the consequence of that. The Hermit in reverse, and the Four of Goblets in reverse. Okay, and then how is this going to impact the way that this relationship moves forward? Okay, that's promising. I'm gonna clarify the Hermit. Clarify the Hermit. We're not reading it yet, brain. It's okay. Clarify the Hermit in reverse. This could mean one thing or another thing. She's a runner, she's a track star. She gonna run away when it gets hard. Sorry, person B. I'm getting a little too comfortable on the internet though. Hi employers. Okay, person B, what's gonna happen for them in the short-term future? We Again, if I'm annoying, just find somebody else. It's okay. It won't hurt my feelings. Just don't dislike this video and leave a negative comment, please. Person B. Short-term future for person B. The Chariot. And there's another card back here. And Strength. Person B is going through shit, dude. What are they? Can you clarify? The Chariot. This can mean several different things. What are they moving on from? Separation. I feel like that's just... Okay, what's the outcome then of this? Why is he literally a Giga Chad? I'm getting Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus by Taylor Swift. I guess I'll ask more clarification. What is the overall outcome of this relationship? Please. Please and thank you. High Priestess in reverse. The Emperor in reverse. And the Empress in reverse. So person A... I think is going to double down on their isolation right now with the Hermit in reverse. This is Virgo, by the way, in case that's significant. They're gonna, I think, yeah, they're gonna double down on their isolation. They're not going to go out for a while, even though that is what they desire. And I get that impression because we have the Runner here. So fear of intimacy, running away, intensity and letting go, turmoil and fleeting. So I think that they're going to say that they're trying to heal from this connection, but really it seems like they're running from it almost. And you also have Death, where it says the relationship is over, no second chances, grow and transform, what's dead is dead. So I don't know if this is referring to the connection that I talked about earlier, that they had like the breakup, or if this refers to what's happening in this connection overall. If there's been a recent breakup with this connection, then I think that this is the answer to that, that they think the relationship is over. They don't want to give a second chance. They want to continue to grow, but they're not going to be out and about when it comes to this connection. And if they are, then it's an unhealthy coping mechanism in the way that they approach their healing, where they might just be going out a lot and partying a lot, but they're not really focused on their internal world right now. It's continuing to stay distracted. With the Four of Cups, I don't know if there's a third party involved in this connection. For some of you, there might be, but if there is, I feel like you would know about it. So if you're paranoid like I am, obviously don't take what I'm saying on the internet and run with it. It'll come out eventually if they are seeing a third person. They're changing their mind about something. They're revisiting an old decision that they made, and they have a change of heart of some kind. What are they changing their mind about? So I don't know if this is like your connection with them, like maybe they had a recent breakup and that kind of made them what are they revisiting? Okay, in terms of what they're revisiting, so you have the Page of, oh, this is Page of Blades, not the Page of Wands. Yeah, that changes the interpretation. I don't know why I saw that this was Wands. They want to talk, and I think this is to you, and they want the truth. They might come across as like blunt, but they seem to be the one that's going to initiate the conversation about this connection. So whatever it is that they're revisiting and rethinking, I think that they're going to discuss that. with person B if you are person B. If you're person A, I think you already know what you're reconsidering here. With the Nine of Cups in reverse, I see two potential scenarios. One is positive for person B, the other might not be. So if you're not ready to hear the truth about this situation just yet, that's okay. You can come back to this video. It's gonna stay up. Take the time to get ready to have this conversation or to hear what I have to say. But the more positive message is that person A might realize that they are unhappy and unfulfilled with the life that they have had thus far, and they might reconsider where they receive their validation. So they might realize that losing person B is not worth all of this attention, all of this validation from other people, and they will stick to person B and being in this relationship with them. The more negative aspect that I could see with this card is they will do the opposite, where they will continue to latch on to this affection and attention from other people. They will continue to receive some sort of validation from others, and they might decide that this relationship is not worth them losing that attention and validation, if that makes sense. I feel like it's the more positive route given these other cards that we have here, but we'll get into that. Yeah, you have the Ten of Cups. So if this is, for instance, a relationship where career is at the forefront of their mind, like they're thinking about being successful, they want attention of some kind, they're trying their best to receive that, I think that they're going to realize that that's not fulfilling them and that it's coming at a price of their own sanity almost. And they're going to try their best to heal through that and to really let that go and to not revisit what it was that they thought was their dream. By moving away from what didn't work for them, they're going to get what they always wanted. They're going to get a very fulfilling life. They might have a family. They might settle down with somebody. By giving up that one thing, they got their last cup. They got what they needed. They have everything that they want now. And it did come at a price. It did come at a sacrifice likely, but I think that that's a good thing in my opinion. So I don't know if this is mainly referring to this relationship in general, but they're having a lasting bond, and it might even result in some sort of marriage, but they feel like they're going to go live in their happy ever after. Their passion is returning to them with this Ace of Bones here. They feel like life is worth living again, like they've refound themselves, refound their spark. And with the Ten of Wands in reverse, I almost want to say that they've dropped the weight and they have stopped overworking themselves, or it could be that they're going to ask for help because they feel like they've accepted more than they should have, and it's really starting to catch up with them. So maybe that's what the conversation is going to entail for person B if you are person B while you're watching this. Whether or not it works out, person A, I think, is going to be in a good place regardless, and they're going to pick themselves back up, and they're going to eventually have to stop running from what it is that they've been running from. And for the mediator, the short term is represented by the Chariot, Upright, and Strength. So Leo and Cancer energy are pretty significant here. With the Chariot, they're going to move forward without distractions. So whatever happens between them and this person, I think that the mediator might just continue to live their life. And they're not really going to be too worried about what's going on with person A. I get the sense that they're moving forward with this separation. So if person A is watching this and they want person B, I think the biggest thing that you should know is that they're moving forward, and even though they might be sad about it at first or bitter about it at first or missing person A, I think that it's going to be a little harsh. I think that they don't want to live in an uncertain future. They don't want to live in a reality where they're constantly missing person A, where they're constantly thinking about person A, where they feel sad or bitter towards person A. They just want to go through their life and not have those distractions weighing upon them. So they might go through with some sort of separation from person A. And who's to say that it's not going to work out? But with strength here, they're not going to force anything. So this gives me the impression of somebody that's not going to chase, that's not going to put in any forward effort. They are just going to move on and do what is best or right for them. And I think that with the separation card being here, that might be to take a small break from what's happening. But I think they're always going to kind of wonder whether or not it's going to work out or not. They might think of person A from time to time and wonder where it could have led. But the overall energy of this relationship that I'm getting is that you both seem to be chronic overthinkers, or you both seem to really enjoy like living in that space of will it happen, won't it happen? Well, maybe enjoy is a strong word, but I feel like both of you, if something's going to happen, there needs to be action on either side. And obviously, if you're the person watching this, you can't force your partner to watch this themselves, but what you can do is you can be the one to take that action. So if this is what you want, then I'd say have that conversation, see where it goes. But with the High Priestess in reverse, I think the universe is telling you that like your intuition is going to be blocked. You're not going to know until you actually move forward with whatever it is that you want to move forward with. With the Empress and the Emperor in reverse, it's really interesting to me because these are counterparts of some kind. And we've got Taurus, who is on this side, and we've got Aries, who I think is more on this side of things. I think you're both going to be a little bit out of balance. The Emperor is not going to set the boundary, is not going to take control of their life. They're going to continue to let people make decisions for them, and they're not going to be the one to really step forward to make that next move, to make a plan, to make a structure to be together, which is kind of unfortunate. But you know, if it doesn't work, then I suppose it doesn't work. And then with the Empress, which I think is more on person B's side of things, they might need to take a step back and trust that things are going to happen on their own. If they were meant to happen on their own, they're going to have to stop trying to control the situation. They're going to stop trying to get person A to be with them, and they might be forced to stop investing in the wrong thing and start investing in themselves almost. So we're going to get into some advice. Choose love. You always have choice. Make yours with love. So whatever that means to you, whether that means like choosing to love this person even if it doesn't work out, choose to love yourself. I think that that message does reign pretty true. And then for person B, listen with your heart. You are listening but need to hear with a loving heart. So person B, if you're here, you've had some nagging intuition that's been trying to tell you something, and it could be that you're trying to smother that voice in your head with tarot to try to tell you, like tarot videos in general. And as much as I love to see people here, and as much as I love when people watch my videos, the tarot videos are always going to be here. There's always going to be tarot readers on YouTube. I think you need to really sit down and ask yourself what it is that you want. And you need to listen to what that feeling has been telling you. If it's saying, and I'm guilty of this too, that's where I'm coming with this. If it's telling you, leave this connection isn't good for you, and you've been watching all these tarot videos trying to figure out, should I stay with this person though? What happens if I stay with them? I think you need to listen to that feeling that's telling you why you don't want to stay, And I think that you need to start making a plan to maybe move forward and to love yourself. So listen with your heart. Figure out what it is that you personally want, not what is expected of you. So sorry to give that tough love today. I hope that the rest of your day goes by very smoothly. I hope that obviously the situation works out for you. If you resonated with my readings, feel free to like, share, subscribe. It really helps me out to have that support. But of course, like, if you're not interested in that, totally get it. It's not your jam. I hope to see you in the next one. See ya. Bye. Hello, Pile 2, and welcome to your tarot reading for today. Yeah. So you chose the amethyst, and the card that you chose is the courage of your love. So we're going to get into what these messages specifically entail a little bit later. Before we get into this guy here, what I want to do is I want to see who person A is in this context and who person B is. So person A. Who is person A here? And I had to split this into two for pile 1 because these cards have gotten like too big for me to shuffle without throwing tens of billions of cards. So I'm gonna do the same thing here. Do I want to do one more shuffle? Yeah, let's do one more shuffle. So Spirit, put the cards of person A into one pile and put the cards of person B into another pile. And then person A. Who is person A? I would appreciate a card, thank you very much. I'm feeling stern in this pile for some reason. Obviously that beginning was not very stern though. So we have the Seeker. Thirst for wisdom and truth wherever they are. And this has a very desert-like background. So Middle East might be significant here for person A. Person B, which this card does mention Allah, so you might resonate with Islam. You're welcome. Person B. Can I get qualities for person B? Child orphan. All right. Spirit, tell me about person A. What has person A done in this relationship so that person B can recognize them? That fell out immediately. Oh, okay. Can you clarify the 9 of Swords? Why is person A having so much anxiety? What's person A pondering about? Acceptance and trickery. Okay. And what is person A's current desire for this connection? King of Pentacles. And then I'm gonna do some more oracle cards. Can I have something else about this relationship, please. Another identifier that will kind of help me in my reading today. Where is person A at when it comes to this relationship? Coffin. Okay. Sorry, I don't mean to sigh like that. Person B. What about them? What have they been doing in this connection? This deck really likes me today. Two of Pentacles. Okay. What is it that they've been juggling here? Confusion. Okay. And what is it that they want for this relationship? Nine of Pentacles. Okay. And then can I get similarly where their head's at with this connection? Person B, where are they at? Old school and girl with a snake. Okay, last few cards. What is the overall energy of this connection, please? Between the two of them. The Tower, the Queen of Pentacles, the Six of Swords, and the Star in reverse. We're going to start with the Seeker, person A. So, as with these person A, person B formats, just for me to be very specific with that, if you see yourself more in person A, I would take the messages for person A to heart. If you see more of yourself in person B, I would take person B to heart. If you notice that there's mirroring energies, then that is normal. Sometimes we do have qualities in our partners that we have within ourselves. But person A is represented by the Seeker. So they, as I said earlier, thirst for wisdom and truth wherever they are in their life. And this gives me Hermit energy, so Virgo might be significant here with his staff, and he's moving through the desert, leaving his own footprints behind. And I'm really sorry if these cards go out of frame. So, so right now, they are, I'm gonna set these off to the side here. So they are very anxious right now. Like, they are going through a difficult time where they feel like they're working through their worst nightmare. Like, they have a lot of stress about this relationship, a lot of anxiety about where it's headed. So if you are person A and you're here today, let's hope that we can ease some of that anxiety for you. And what they're anxious about is represented by acceptance and trickery. They wish that things were different with this relationship, is what I'm getting, or they're facing too much for them to be able to handle right now. If they recently were in a breakup of some kind, then they need some emotional support while they're sorting out their feelings. They might be wondering whether or not they're capable of finding love again. With acceptance in particular, they feel like something's missing from their lives. And ooh, this might be a third party situation. with third-party situations, to be very specific with you, unless you know for sure that there is a third party involved in this situation, then I would say please don't make accusations. I could be wrong in what I'm reading, and if there is some third party involvement, I think that you're eventually going to find out. So don't shoot the messenger here. But with the Nine of Swords, there is a stress over whether or not someone has been faithful or whether or not someone has betrayed them. And with this acceptance card, it talks about this waitress named Cherry who feels like something is missing from her life. And she has a boyfriend, but she senses that the boyfriend is unfaithful. One day a customer orders cherry pie. Cherry cuts a slice and says to a friend that her life is like that pie, with a slice missing. Her friend remarks that maybe Cherry is a heart-shaped pie. Cherry's perspective changes. She leaves her boyfriend and later meets a man who makes her happy. So the courage of your love talks about this card here that you pulled. Selling yourself short. You want to provide comfort to people, and you want them to feel good in their skin. You want them to feel like their needs are met. Whenever they cry out, you're there for them. But this card says that you shouldn't have to shrink down your own personal needs to get someone to love you. That you shouldn't have to dull yourself down, become the lamb in order for someone to love your lion. You shouldn't accept less than what you deserve in this situation. So with this acceptance card, that feeds into the overall message of that is maybe you are selling yourself short when it comes to this connection. And then you also have trickery. So trickery is a very interesting chakra card because it talks about a trade happening, but there's hidden motives on both ends of the spectrum here. So there's Kelly the Green Dragon has one jumbo-sized acorn to get him through winter. Squirrel spies a huge acorn and decides he just has to have it to win the forest's annual acorn contest. To tempt Kelly, he fills a basket with rocks and scatters the tiny acorns he has collected on top. Kelly feels the weight of the basket and steals it, allowing Squirrel to grab the single acorn, but they both lose. Kelly now has less food, and Squirrel is disqualified from the contest for cheating. So there's something that you're both trying to accomplish, but neither one of you is really being honest with the other person. And there might be some conflicts happening where she, has this quality, maybe, or this resource that she has to bring herself some stability. And then the squirrel wants to win a contest. They're not necessarily concerned about survival, so they trick Kelly, and Kelly ends up losing. So this situation is kind of interesting too, because if we look at it from a perspective of long term, I almost feel like Kelly loses more than the squirrel in this case, because Kelly needs the acorn to survive, whereas the squirrel is just looking for recognition. So that might be what the seeker is afraid of, that they're accepting less than what they deserve, and they're sacrificing something for person B, and they think maybe person B doesn't love them as much, or maybe person B isn't giving as much as them, and they might be afraid that this relationship is going to put them in a bad position. So why would the seeker be here if they're watching? What are they afraid of? Page of Cups. So the Page of Cups is someone who is very childlike, but not in the sense of being childish. They are a dreamer, and they're a bit immature when it comes to the feelings of romance and creativity and love. So they're very innocent and they're vulnerable. They could be shy or introverted or bashful, and they feel maybe like they're very easily swayed by love. They're afraid of the invitation almost. They're afraid maybe of love in general or of being taken advantage of. Their desires of the relationship are the King of Pentacles, which makes sense because they want stability. So with the King of Pentacles, they're somebody that is practical, financially successful, secure, stable. They take their time. When they're committed, they're dedicated, they're devoted. They'll do whatever it takes to foster growth and success in the other person. They're knowledgeable and they're informed, and they will see tasks through till the end. So this is a lover that is very methodical, patient, loving, loyal, kind. They're someone that can always be counted on. They're not going to choose just anybody. They're decisive in terms of what they want. And again, when they are committed, it's because they view the other person as worthy. They're generous with their resources. And I think that person A is looking for that type of person, or they might be looking for a very strong commitment, like starting a family, getting married. They're thinking very seriously about who they want to spend their time with. So where they're at right now is the coffin. So they're in new beginnings with this relationship. They have had maybe a tragic ending in the past. They've been reborn and transformed. So it could be that they've been in a situation like the trickery card and the acceptance card before, and now they know what they want. Now they've started to piece together what it is that they need in a relationship, and they're afraid that this connection is essentially going to become like a previous connection. We're gonna go to person B now. So person B is represented by the orphan. So they're kind of the opposite of what the seeker is looking for, because they're trying to learn how to be more independent, and they're learning how to conquer the fear of surviving. So they're learning how to navigate life by themselves. And that's not an easy deal to have, especially when it comes to this economy. So right now they're juggling a lot of different things. They might be the more career-oriented person in this relationship, but they're juggling them well. They might be trying to balance work with partnership, but they want to be able to basically balance both of those in their hands. They're doing everything to keep the ball rolling, but they feel challenged and a little bit over their head in terms of how much responsibility and how much expectation that they're navigating. They might be dating in general right now. So if this isn't a relationship of some kind, they might be juggling multiple partners, many dating options. There's also the option that they're polyamorous, maybe that this person isn't really interested in monogamy and has expressed that before. No shame, obviously. Love my poly people. And what they're juggling right now is confusion. Jana climbs Faith Mountain in dense fog, wondering whether her decision to leave her boyfriend was the right one. There is another man waiting in the wings. There always is. Silver cloud surrounds her, and it is cold and scary. Despite her confusion, she keeps climbing. As she reaches the summit, the fog clears, revealing the town far below. With Silver Cloud's help, she has journeyed much further than she realized. She now knows what to do. She begins the long journey home to reclaim her love. So it seems like this orphan person is trying to make a decision about something clearly, and they might be questioning whether or not their decision was the right one to make. In the end, it says that she does journey back home to go be with her loved one, but maybe the child is using the space right now to determine what it is that they want, and they're trying to become more independent to separate other people's needs from their own. I'm gonna ask what they're seeking. What do they need clarity on? King of Pentacles. So if you're person A and you've told person B that you need more stability in your life, or you've told them what you're seeking in this romantic relationship, It's either that this person is wondering whether or not they are that fit for person A, whether or not they are the stable option, whether or not they do want this type of marriage, or it could be that person B is trying to become what person A needs in order to be a better partner. But they're working through that confusion right now. So it could be maybe person A gave person B an ultimatum, and if there's a separation, that's why things are happening. Obviously, you'll know your situation, but their intentions, yeah, is the Nine of Pentacles. So that does make a lot of sense in terms of that interpretation of the reading. So the Nine of Pentacles is somebody that is building a stable life for themselves. There's somebody that is independent and focused on enjoying the fruits of their labor. They feel grateful, safe, secure, well taken care of, and they're working toward or have already achieved a certain goal. Other people might view them as lucky, but the reality is that they've worked hard to get to this place. It's not just luck, and they have the security and the financial abundance that they've always been looking for. They know how to take care of themselves. They know how to stand alone. They're independent. They've already achieved what it is that they've achieved here, and maybe they're just wondering how to juggle what they've achieved already with the new facets that are coming into their life. So in terms of where they're at in this relationship, they have girl with a snake and old school. So they might have certain expectations for person A right now, and they might be wondering whether or not person A is charming or using them. They might be trying to set some boundaries with person A right now. They have some outdated thinking, conditioning, replaying events over in your head. So they might have traditional expectations in terms of what they want in a relationship. The thing that I'm thinking about in my head is the typical woman who, I said that's so derogatory, but I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I'm seeing in my head like a woman, and she has all of her ish together, and she has these boundaries or these expectations for partners coming into things, where she's like, I'm willing to do the gender role aspect of a relationship where I take care of all these different things in my life, but I want someone that is more of a provider. And they've set that boundary out into the world. And maybe that person A doesn't feel like it's fair for person B to have that expectation or that thinking, but I think that that's their right to want that for themselves, you know? If person A doesn't want to fulfill that, then person A doesn't have to, but I don't think that person B should have to be a relationship with person A if that is the case. So there might be some confusion in terms of where you fall with that, like whether or not person B should let go of that outdated thinking or whether they should move on. But we'll see what the overall energy is in this relationship before I talk out of my butt. I think there's been a recent breakup here, or at least I get the sense that there's a break in connection. I'd be surprised if you were both still on the same page about things, and if there hasn't been an official talk of a break, it might be maybe that person B is less responsive than usual or less loving than usual. The Tower, something has shifted overnight. Something has changed dramatically from when it last happened. That's why I say maybe there was a breakup of some kind. And one person, or maybe both, has moved from a place of being extremely stressed out all the time to now moving towards something that is more peaceful and safe for them. So I get the feeling that this is the Seeker, because this card with the child and the orphan is just a kid sitting on their own little planet, on their own little moon, and they're not moving. Whereas the Seeker had all this past or history with being in a relationship with somebody else, recently breaking that off, and then moving to a calmer place, and they're also moving in the card. So I'm more inclined to believe that it is the Seeker that is trying to settle down in a better place. I think the Queen of Pentacles suggests that both of you are in a stable position now, and both of you are receivers almost. You're both practical, you're both sensual, you're concerned with material growth and stability. You really enjoy time with the people around you as much as you do spending time alone. You might own a business, you might be a homemaker, but you both really enjoy tending to other people. You're both loyal, hardworking, you enjoy the lives of luxury and comfort that they've worked so hard to create. But there's a little sense of like being lost or not really having direction when it comes to this connection. So maybe you both have grown apart, or okay, clarify the star. Why are they feeling a little lost? I think you both need to heal from a lot of things, and you might be wondering if it's truthful, like if this connection is what you think that it is. So why is the star in reversed here? The devil. Why does that low-key look like Robert Pattinson? This is the skin of a killer, Bella. Let me see. That doesn't really... So, can we clarify what the devil signifies? Because this could be like a lot of different things. Seven of Pentacles. Oh. Yeah, you feel like the effort and stability that you've put into this relationship is not enough. So you're wondering whether or not this is a relationship that you want. You're wondering whether or not you should compromise on certain things, if you're ready for it, if you need to heal. There's a lot of... I think that you both want to be committed to the other person. Like, you both want that strong commitment, but it's a question of, like, is this person right for that? Am I ready for that? Am I willing to do that right now? I think that that is kind of the case, especially with the fact that person A, I feel like, is going through a lot right now and is a little bit scared of the situation. Because I didn't get that same energy with person B. With person B, I got the feeling that they are already pretty settled in their life. They're already at a place where they're ready for this. But obviously if person A isn't ready for this, but person B is, then maybe person B is thinking more long-term and, you know, might do their right to move forward with something else that they want. So let's see what's going to happen. If you didn't resonate with this pile, feel free to choose another one. This is the point where I'm going to be looking at the future. So person A, how is person A going to approach this relationship moving forward in the future? Nine of Pentacles. Okay. What are they going to do for this relationship in the future? Six of Wands, Death and Rebirth. Okay. What is going to be the outcome of their efforts? Nine of Wands, and Justice. Okay, where's their head gonna be at in the future of this connection? Where are they at in the future of this connection? Not enough. All right, what about person B? What are they going to do for this relationship? Yeah. Oh. King of Wands in reverse and the Page of Swords upright. Can I get more about what they're going to be doing though? Like, decision-wise? Okay. Five of Cups and the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. Okay. How are they going to approach this relationship moving forward? The Magician and the Hermit. And then what is the outcome of their efforts with this relationship? Okay. And where is their head at? Or where are they at in this relationship for the future? Coffee cup. All right, can we get then what the overall outcome is going to be for this relationship? It's going to take a while to know the overall outcome. The Page of Pentacles. Okay. So, as I said with the Courage of Your Love, this is where the relationship is headed, and I think that the lesson that you're both going to learn through the course of this connection is you don't have to dwindle yourself down for this love to work. Or you shouldn't have to dwindle yourself down for this love to work. You don't have to be the lamb all the time in this relationship. You can be the lion. For person A, they have the Nine of Pentacles for how they're going to approach the relationship. And it looks like they're going to be in their earth element when it comes to this connection. So it seems pretty promising for the two of you. I'm not gonna lie, which is a lot more than what I saw from Pawan. Pawan had a lot of issues. So if you need me to show my honesty as a reader, then you can look at Pawan. But they are definitely going to realize like they don't need this relationship to feel whole or happy. And even when they're separate from person B, they're empowered still, they're independent still, they have what they need, they have a sense of independence, they do their thing, person B does theirs, and they're okay with that. They know that wealth and security is very important, but it's not everything. They're independent, but they're willing to receive love, intimacy, and affection. So they're going to be pretty like thorough when it comes to this love. They're going to build it up. They're going to work towards it. They're going to fulfill their end of the bargain when it comes to this relationship, and they're really going to be rewarded for it. In terms of what they're going to do, we have Death and Rebirth, and then we have the Six of Wands. So Death and Rebirth tells me that they're going to, I think, change themselves, change their approach to life. They're going to revamp it almost, and sometimes they might be sad, sometimes it might call for them to, I guess, like kill the parts of themselves that aren't working, or kill the situations or the circumstances that aren't working, but they're going to come out of this and they're going to be transformed, basically. And with the Six of Wands, she looks like she's celebrating a lot, because this is the card that talks about, achievements. It's success, it's accomplishments, it's recognition, being cheered on, feeling loved, feeling supported, working hard to achieve your goals, receiving some sort of validation. They're really soaking up the love and affection, and they're really, I think, enjoying this connection and enjoying what transpires out of it. And maybe they're going to shower person B with love and affection and with appreciation, and they're going to want person B to also achieve their goals and be willing to do anything to let them achieve that. This just gives me the vibe of a person who's like willing to really try anything and really willing to like be there for their partner, which is a really happy energy. And the consequence of this is also very positive. They have the Knight of Wands upright. They're here to have a good time. So they're gonna feel very confident, charismatic. They might be a little bit cocky. I think that they're definitely going to be enjoying more intimate aspects of this relationship, the physically intimate aspects. There's going to be a lot of passion and attraction between the two of you, and they're going to be very challenged and excited, and they're going to feel alive during this connection. And I think that they're either going to make person B laugh a lot or put a smile on person B's face, or person A is going to be laughing a lot and having a big smile on their face. And with justice here, like, it's fair, like it's what they deserve. I think they're also going to try to approach this relationship in a way that is fair to person B, and they're going to ensure that even if there is emotion involved, that both people receive what they wanted out of this connection. It's going to be a little bit hard though, because we do have not enough. So I think that the one thing with person A is that they might lack some confidence. They might try to self-sabotage. They might be frustrated or feel like, I have to do this for person B all the time, I have to do that for person B all the time, and I have to be there for person B. But the reality is, like, person B is also very independent, so I feel like person A knows that person B doesn't need them, and that might make them sad from time to time because they want to be needed for person B. So that is the only circumstance that I could see being a bit of like a crux in this relationship. But the rest of the messaging here is very positive. So there is a lot of great potential when it comes to this relationship for person A. In terms of person B, they're going to be a little bit out of balance when it comes to this connection. So this is the type of person in reverse where their achievements mean more to them than their actual feelings and the feelings of people around them. Like, they're a little overconfident, they're a little destructive, they might be a bit overly dominating. They are only concerned about their reputation rather than the feelings of other people. It seems to me like they're going to enter this energy with the Page of Swords, where they're going to be more truthful about what it is that they want, or more truthful about the connection. It's going to be about the truth to them, and they're going to bring an intellectual and logical perspective to this connection. They're going to be a bit blunt. They're going to give the truth, whether or not that's cold or hard. And in terms of what they're going to do with the Five of Cups, that tells me that they're a little sad and disappointed when it comes to this connection. Maybe they can only see what they've lost, and it's hard for them to see the good in the connection, and they're wondering whether or not this is something that can be salvaged at the end of the day. So this is like a completely different energy from person A. Person A seemed to be really optimistic, but person B seems to be going through some sort of transformation. Something is missing from them. And I don't know if this is related to the relationship or if this is just grief in general, but I think that they might still have lingering feelings for somebody else or some other relationship, no matter how far it was in the past. And it still stings because they know that they can have partnership or union with somebody else, but they just have a hard time moving past the past, like this person that is in their head right now. And with the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, it makes me think that they might just be more concerned about money than the actual relationship throughout it. And they might be spending a lot of time at work independently. It might end up like eating away at their relationship. They might become a little bit greedy. They're kind of like refusing to share almost. And they're a little bit stubborn about how other people see them. Like their accomplishments seem to matter more than the relationship itself. And I feel like this might be that we talked about trickery in the beginning, where I think this person is the dragon and this person might be the squirrel. Like they might not be completely honest about what their intentions are and what they're willing to give almost, or what they're even looking for. This person just seems really hurt, basically. And that might be why they're hyper independent right now, because they don't want to focus on what they've lost. They don't want to take the time to mourn. They feel like they have to take advantage of this opportunity that's being handed to them. In terms of how they're going to approach it, it's represented by the Magician and the Hermit in reverse. They're manifesting something here. They're trying to use their resources and their confidence to accomplish something, or rather. So let me see what that is, to be more specific. I think that they are going to be spending a lot of time alone, based on the other cards here. What are they trying to manifest? They might be stuck in that outdated thinking and trying to manifest somebody that fits into that without realizing that, like, maybe it's not realistic what they're looking for. That could be the case. Nine of Cups. So they're trying to get their dreams to come true, basically, with the Nine of Cups. And I think they're going to be spending a lot of time on that right now, or in the future. And they might just be way too independent, almost avoidant. Like they feel like they have to constantly be by themselves. They feel like they have to constantly achieve things alone because they're seeking attention elsewhere. And that might be a bit of a problem in the relationship, because person A might not feel like they're enough to keep person B's attention all the time, or person A might feel like they have to compete with person B's dreams almost to receive some sort of attention and affection, when they kind of know that person B is not really in it for maybe the right things or in it for the right reasons. The consequence of this is that person B is going to feel a bit dissatisfied with what they're being offered. Like it feels almost like nothing that anybody else does is enough to sustain them, whether that's related to this relationship or not. And I feel like they might be a little bit bored. Whatever it is that your person A is going to get in this relationship is what they're going to get, basically. And I think that person B is going to have a really hard time accepting help or accepting love or accepting the offers that person A is giving to them. And person B seems like they're going to be saying the right things to get what they want, looking for a way to escape from reality because they can't handle the harshness of the world around them. Escaping through sex or fantasies or alcohol or drug addiction. They're a bit deceptive and they can't really let go or say goodbye to something. They're very rigid and stuck in their ways at the end of the day. There is a lot of potential in this relationship for growth with the Page of Pentacles here, because that talks about patience and determination and hard work, considering huge commitments, trying to find a relationship that's worth exploring and taking seriously, getting to know the other person and taking your time, not really rushing things, moving slowly and steadily forward, building a foundation for your life together, being equally committed. I think that person B is just going through like an internal struggle that they need to get through, and with enough support and time, maybe they will become content in this relationship to stick around. It could be from childhood too, with child orphan being here. I don't think that that's a mistake. I think they just need to know that it's okay for them to receive love and comfort, and they don't have to be independent all the time. They can also rely on their partner to emotionally fulfill themselves and to get through life. In terms of where their head is at, you have coffee cup. So you have meeting and talking, savoring the moment, feeling elevated, building friendship. So it could be that this is about a friend, or it could be a situation where maybe you want a friendship to be something more. But whatever the case may be here, I think that just not rushing through things and building that connection slowly is going to be the best course of option for the both of you. I'm gonna get some advice cards here, and then I'll let you guys go. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm sorry that I'm having issues with my nose, but hopefully that gets resolved. So, Spirit, can you give me some advice cards for person A, please? Demonstrate love. Find out what is important to those you love and act on it. Yeah, I definitely think that that's important for this connection, is to not make assumptions about person B and what they're going through, but to maybe ask them what it is that makes them feel loved, and then following through with that. I think that that's a good way for person B to trust in this relationship. And following through is going to be important, I think, for person B, for sure. Like, not just asking them, but going out of your way to do that for them is going to be what really gets their attention. Okay, person B, what is some advice for person B, please? Choose love. You always have a choice. Make yours love. Yeah, I think that this is important for person B, because person B seems like they're distracted with all these other things in life, and they're trying to receive fulfillment from their career or their accomplishments. And yeah, that is a source of fulfillment, but I think that if you do have the capacity to love, and you were born with this capacity to love, then you should choose that. And it's okay for you to love. It's okay for you to be vulnerable. It's okay for you to be open and out there with another person. I hope that that answered some of the questions that you have piled to, whether you resonated with person A or person B. And I thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. If you could help me out and like, share, subscribe, comment, that would mean the world to me. If not, I totally understand. And I will leave you with that. Bye. Hello, pile 3, and welcome to your reading. The card that you chose is called 1, and the crystal that you chose is dusty as hell, but it's this rose cream colored crystal. We're going to set this off to the side, and what we're going to do is we're going to do person A, person B format. Now, with person A, person B, you can resonate with one person over the other. You might be able to resonate with both. But I'd say choose the pile that you feel like best represents your circumstance and your role in the relationship, and we will then get into it. I forgot to read the card in the middle there to get the overall message, but yeah, we're back at it. You didn't miss anything. I'm going to separate this into 2. I think one more shuffle, and I will feel like actually I think I've done the shuffling. And then person A will be in this pile. Spirit, tell me who person A is. Who is person A? The Fool. And then person B, who is person B. Rescuer. Can you tell me, Spirit? I'll give this a good shuffle. What has the Fool done in this relationship? Two of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, Ace of Pentacles. Okay. What does the Fool want for this relationship? Oh, I could tell this one wants to come out. Knight of Pentacles in reverse. And then where is their head at when it comes to this relationship? Soul connection, partnership, soul contract, life partner, soulmates. Interesting energy thus far. What about my pile, my person B? What has person B done in this connection? Five of Swords in reverse. I'm gonna need you to clarify that. Clarify maybe what they've done. What was their intention with the Five of Swords in reverse? Seven of Cups in reverse. And why did they do that? Why did they do that? They do that. Okay. And then what do they want out of this relationship? Okay, this one jumped out. Magician in reverse. Okay, where's their head at? The snake. We're gonna look at the energy of this connection. I feel like this is gonna be very specific for some of you. What is the energy right now of this connection? So I want to say before we get started, like, I'm obviously gonna tell you the truth. What is the energy of this connection? there's going to be some interesting things happening. Person A is the Fool. So they are somebody that fearlessly reveals their emotions. They help people laugh at absurdity and hypocrisy, kind of like a class clown. The vibe that I always get with the Fool is that when I was first learning tarot, they were talking about how the Fool back in medieval times was the only person that could tell the king the truth. And that has always stuck with me since. Because when I thought of the Fool, I thought of the stereotypical funny person that was just kind of saying things ironically. But then when you get into the nitty gritty of all of it, they are the one person that shrouds truth through humor. And they're the ones who are able to deliver it without facing some sort of social punishment. So I think this person is concerned with that truth. In terms of what they've done in this relationship thus far, so you have the Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, Two of Pentacles. So this is very early in terms of a relationship itself. It's in the beginning stages, essentially. And with the Ace of Pentacles, there's a lot of potential to commit. They want to commit. They don't want to take shortcuts. They want to take their time. They want to build a relationship that is promising, that will stand the test of times. They've been pretty patient throughout this relationship. And I think they might be waiting to hear how person B feels about them, and have been waiting for a while. They have the Ace of Cups too. They really love this connection. This is something that makes them feel very passionate and excited and happy. There's magic in this love. They've fallen head over heels for person B. Their heart is open. Their emotions are swelling. They want to be affectionate and soft with this person. But with the Two of Pentacles right now, they might be juggling a lot when it comes to this relationship. They might be juggling career obligations on top of romantic obligations. They're not going to back down from their relationship, but they just feel very happy and fulfilled from it. They see this going in a direction that is pretty positive. So what they want from the relationship is kind of confusing in response to all of that. They have the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, and they have soulmates. So they definitely think that this is a soul level connection, that there's partnership. And I don't know if this is just like not traditional. I think that the reason why, if you are person A, if you're here, I'm going to resort to using the you pronoun. So you're finding this person B is a bit questionable in terms of their security and their structure. So you might be like losing some money in this, like investing in this person, trying to get them to a more stable place. But things are starting to look a little bit rocky in the relationship, and you're starting to kind of reconsider whether or not you're willing to put in the work with that other person. It seems like you've been juggling so much for so long that your patience is starting to wear thin, and you're wondering whether or not this relationship is going to pan out because you've devoted too much and you almost need to like be more focused on career, for instance, or focused on something else in your life. Person B is interesting to say the least. Person B is called the Rescuer. And they are strong and supportive of others in crisis. They act out of love with no expectation of reward. It's interesting that they're not in their shadow attribute right now, because it seems kind of like in terms of this relationship, they've been sabotaging things a lot. Five of Swords is where you win but at a cost of some kind. And when it's reversed, there's gossip, there's revenge, there's cold blood. There's some damage that I feel like maybe they have caused in this connection. Maybe they have kind of revealed their cards, and person A is like, oh my god, I didn't expect this to come from this person. But they're kind of... they have like a lot of conflicting aspects to them right now. They've been like hopeful about this relationship with the Star, They feel inspired and they're healing from this connection. But I think that they don't want to really rush things per se. And I think that they might be acting out because there's something here that just doesn't feel quite right to them with the moon card here. Something is giving them the heebie-jeebies. Like they're kind of questioning whether or not they can trust the Fool here. They might be looking for shadows where there aren't some. That might be what the drama is they're trying to like unearth parts of person A's past that maybe person A doesn't want them to know. Or they might be trying to spread rumors or cause drama of some kind to figure out whether or not person A is the person that they say that they are. Like that seems to be the case here, that person B is a little bit paranoid and is acting out as a result of that. Their intention with starting this drama, essentially, they're confused, which the moon is also here too, so that makes a lot of sense. I think they have options available to them, because this card does talk about choosing between two options when there's multiple still. So I don't know if this person is just like dating around a lot or feeling overwhelmed by the number of suitors that they have, but they really can't make up their mind about what it is that they want, because they're afraid if they choose one thing, they're going to miss out on so many other opportunities. So it's almost like they want the Fool to maybe consider other options, or they want the ability to pursue other options. They want person A to confess the truth. And they want something revolutionary to happen within this connection that will happen on its own. Like they want some sort of news, and they want to have almost like a breakthrough moment when it comes to this connection. But the outcome of it is actually kind of the opposite, where they have the Magician in reverse here. They don't have a lot of power right now. It's blocked. They're not really believing in themselves. They're kind of waiting for people to tell them what to do instead of making that decision themselves. And they've become someone that's not really trustworthy as a result of what they've done, I feel like. Or they don't feel like they can fully trust the Fool here. You have the Snake too. This is where their head's kind of at in this connection. They might be seeing a lot of the competition around them. They might be trying to look to see if there's another woman. They're kind of paranoid, as I said. Like they just seem to be trying to maybe sabotage the connection that person A has with someone else, or sabotage their own chances. I don't know. I feel like you would know coming into this what's been going on, and I feel like you probably have this feeling too of like something's not quite right here. But the energy of the connection right now is there's like a lot of potential to grow. There's a lot of passion here. I feel like there is a physical connection involved as well that might be really fulfilling for the both of you. Maybe it's that like person B just needs some sort of commitment and is trying to test the waters with the Fool to see if the Fool is down to be something more. I don't know. I guess it depends on where you're at in terms of the relationship. Two of Wands though, you're exploring your options and you're waiting for the perfect moment to approach. And there's restlessness and excitement in terms of this relationship. But there's something here about not fully settling with the other person, and there is a little bit of deception going on, or a little bit of manipulation maybe going on. Spirit. What is going to happen in this connection on the Fool side of things? What is going to happen to them? And I feel the need to ask, what are they going to do? So what's going to happen to them is the Three of Wands. That reminds me of Twigs, but that might be just Medusa. Twigs, FKA Twigs. Three of Wands. Okay. What are they going to do? There. How are they going to approach this connection in the future? In the near future, I should. Okay, Two of Swords. And then what is the overall outcome of what they're going to do? Okay, where is their head at in the future of this connection? Death. Well, that escalated quickly. All right, person B. What is going to happen to person B? Oh, okay. What is person B going to do? Of Cups and the Six of Pentacles. I'm sorry if you can't see that. How are they going to approach this relationship moving forward? Okay. The Tower and Justice. And what is the outcome of this relationship on their end? Ten of Pentacles. Where's their head going to be at with this relationship? Sword and Rose. And then what is the overall outcome of this relationship on both ends? Ten of Cups in reverse and the Nine of Swords. All right, so this is kind of where I'm going to be a bit truthful. Trigger warning. If you're not ready for these messages yet, I would go ahead and click off of this video. It kind of seems like both of you are a bit like checked out, or you both just want different things, and you've been staying together maybe because you feel like you have to. I don't know. I don't think that this is what both of you want for yourselves, at least in the future. We're going to start with person A. I'm going to move some of these cards off to the side so that it's not overwhelming. In terms of what's going to happen to person A, they have the Three of Wands, so they're going to be waiting to see what the outcome of this relationship or situation is going to be. They might go on successful dates with someone that they like. Whether or not that's person B or someone else is debatable. Maybe they receive some sort of different partnership, or they're kind of like waiting to hear back from a different person or something like that. It just kind of feels like they're just waiting for something to happen to them. So what they're actually going to do about this connection is represented by Seven of Cups, Two of Wands, Ace of Cups, Two of Pentacles. They're going to be exploring their options with the Seven of Cups here. They're not going to be fully settled on what they want to commit to quite yet. They almost want them all. Like, they're facing some sort of indecision, they're mentally foggy, they have so many options available to them, each one's kind of different. So it's almost like they're in a position where they have to choose who they want to partner with, and maybe they're just asking about person B to see if they're a good choice. But that doesn't surprise me because we had the other woman before. So maybe the rescuer is the other woman, and they've just kind of unearthed a lot of the drama that has been happening between the two women beforehand. They don't feel like they can have both. Maybe it's neither option, you know? A lot of people have that thought process of like, oh, I have to choose between one and the other person, but it's like, if you don't feel like both of them are really meeting what you're looking for, then why choose at all, you know? They can't really see things for what they actually are. They could be tricked or being lied to. They might have some sort of illusion towards the rescuer, but they're just going to continue to explore what is available to them. Two of Wands, same thing, basically. Like, they're keeping their options open. They see a lot of potential with multiple different people. They're still going to be very happy and excited in spite of like this pressure to explore and to feel like they have to choose. I feel like they really enjoy the beginning stages of romance and forming new connections with people. They love love, like they love falling in love. They love someone else loving them. They feel like their heart is really open right now, and they're open to establishing a relationship or having new love come in. They're really interested in the mechanics of love is all I'm gonna say. And with the Two of Pentacles, again, like still juggling what's happening in their real life, still juggling their career, still juggling what's going on. Maybe they're juggling the two people, but they're in this balancing act of feeling distracted by a lot of different things. If this is like a committed relationship on person B's side of things, I would definitely ask before you take what I'm saying to heart. I could definitely be wrong, and I'm open to being wrong, but it just kind of seems like this person is not really wanting to settle all that much anytime soon. And I would hate for you to go through this whole ordeal for nothing, you know? I think that it's very important to communicate with your partner when things don't feel quite right. How they're gonna approach it is they're not gonna make a decision. They're gonna be indecisive still about what it is that they want. They're not gonna make a move. They're not gonna share their feelings. The relationship is going to stay stuck because they don't know how to articulate what they're thinking or they're feeling, and they need additional time to really figure things out. They are hurt right now. They might have just gotten out of something that has propelled them to feel the need to explore their options more and to get back out there when they're not quite ready. They're making light of things, and they might be revealing their emotions, but I feel like they're just not a very logical person. They're trying to make sense of what's happening and within them, and I think they're so caught up in their own emotions that they need to realistically look at the pros and the cons of the relationship and decide what they want to do next. And maybe that's what they're going to do. But I feel like it's going to be a while before they're able to fully make that decision. And again, they have to disconnect with how they feel first before they realize maybe this isn't right for me, or maybe I need to pursue something else. The outcome is represented by the Page of Pentacles in reverse and the Page of Wands in reverse. So with the Page of Pentacles in reverse, this is not somebody that commits, and they start to take shortcuts. They start to be a little bit lazy. They don't have what it takes to build the foundation for their dreams. And they might feel like their commitment to the rescuer is called into question. And it's almost like they want the reward of a relationship without having to put in the effort to make that relationship work. And the same message is there for the Page of Wands, where they're there for a good time, but they're not really there for a long time, to be honest with you. I think that they want a more physical connection with someone. They're a little bit impulsive, spontaneous, taking risks for the sake of taking risks, creating problems in the relationship that's difficult to fix later. They're not really someone to be counted on, to be honest. They're distracted, they're gonna give up, they're gonna fizzle out, they're gonna abandon their relationship midway through and move on to the next shiny thing. And honestly, I think that if you're open about your intentions and you're open about not wanting a relationship, then this energy is okay as long as the other person is fine with that energy, but you need to be open and honest about the fact that that's what you expect going forward, if that's the type of relationship that you want. But it seems like the Fool is just interested in having fun. They're not really interested in committing. And even if they did commit, I think that they are not the type of person to be counted on, and that they need to grow a little bit more in order to be in a relationship that is healthy for them. Again, if this is what they want, like if they just don't want a non-committal energy, I'm not trying to sound judgmental, maybe a traditional relationship is not for them. I don't know if the rescuer is more so interested in that, but like there certainly is something about this dynamic that's a little bit off, and that seems to be a little bit hostile right now or out of balance because of what the Fool is doing here. Their mindset in the future is death. So this says the relationship is over, no second chances, grow and transform, what's dead is dead. So I think that they're eventually going to leave this relationship and leave this connection, and they're going to just completely dead it. I don't think that they're going to allow second chances from the rescuer to come through. The rescuer, what's happening to them is the Lovers in reverse and the Sun in reverse. So they're not very happy with what's going on here in this situation, and I low-key can kind of see why. No judgment to the Fool person, but with the Sun in reverse, they feel disappointed, and they feel like success isn't coming. Like they're not gonna find their person. Like they're off track, and they're exhausted. They need time to recharge. They need time to really move through these feelings that they have right now. And with the Lovers card here, it feels like they're choosing something that their soul is rejecting. They're choosing the logical option when really they regret the decision that they made, or they regret the loss of someone or something that they truly loved or desired. They're refusing to follow their heart. They're choosing to make decisions based on logic or what other people are telling them to do. And I get the sense that the rescuer, I don't think the rescuer is a bad person. I just think that they get caught up in rescuing sometimes, and they feel like they have to fix everything and solve everything. And when you're in that headspace all the time, it's really hard to allow love to come in. It's hard to allow other people to rescue you. And I think they really wanted to rescue the Fool, but I don't think the Fool wanted to be rescued, to be honest with you. And if the rescuer did something that was dramatic or caused some harm to the Fool's life or anything of that sort, I think that they really regret the decision that they made, and they didn't intend to hurt the Fool. That doesn't absolve them, of course, but they care about the Fool, and they didn't want to lose the Fool, but I think that they kind of did. So they might be disappointed in themselves, or just disappointed in the relationship in general. What they're going to do about it is represented by the Three of Cups in reverse and the Six of Pentacles upright. So if person B was the one that decided to be unfaithful, which there is an element here, and I'm not saying that this is true. Again, take what resonates here, especially because this situation is very emotionally charged. It feels like revenge cheating on the other person. Both people have been fooling around and have not been honest with the other person, and it's creating a lot of strife because there's not honesty here. But with the Three of Cups in reverse, that could sometimes talk about an unwelcome third party entering their relationship. And I don't know if the rescuer is going to bring someone else in, whether that's cheating or just like a third party in general, like a family member. But this has gone on for too long, this good time between the two of you, I think. And I think that the rescuer is going to feel regret. They're going to be really sad and disappointed, and I think that they're going to find out if there was a third party involved here about it. If they're not the one that's being unfaithful, they're going to find out that person A has been unfaithful lately. With the Six of Pentacles, they seem to be taking what they're giving or giving what they're taking. They're going to be pretty generous with their time and their energy. I think that they're going to feel like the love that the Fool is giving them is just not enough in general. And they might realize like the Fool is not fully investing in them. The chemistry and the spark is no longer there, and they might be trying to get attention from elsewhere or energy from elsewhere, whether that's them looking for other options themselves or them deciding to focus more on like career or work or anything of that sort. So they're redirecting their attention is essentially what this card is saying, because they're realizing like, oh, this Fool person doesn't want the same thing that I want right now, and so I'm not going to really entertain that anymore. How they're going to approach it is they don't see this as very like fair with the Justice card in reverse. They feel like the Fool is getting away with something that they shouldn't be getting away with. With the Tower card, I think that they're going to rebuild themselves, and they're going to focus on repairing the damage that has happened to them. They're probably going to confess the truth of the situation that they've been hiding in their heart. It's going to catch the Fool off guard, I think, for them to say what's happening. It's going to change their relationship seemingly overnight. And there's just a feeling of unfairness with the Rescuer, where they're like, this was not the outcome that I wanted. I don't feel like I am getting what I deserve out of this. I don't feel like the Fool has been fair to me, or I don't feel like the outcome of what has happened was fair. And they might approach things in a more emotional way than a logical way. And the overall outcome on their side of things is the Ten of Pentacles, where I think they're definitely going to focus on like building a stable future for themselves and for children to come. I don't think that that's going to be with the Fool, to be honest with you. They're going to, I think, choose based on how they're being provided for and how other people provide for them. They're going to look for commitment and stability for themselves. Yeah, I think that they're going to choose something that's difficult for them to step away from. If this is like an arranged marriage situation, because sometimes the Ten of Pentacles can talk about that, then I guess I can understand where the disappointment comes from. I've never been in an arranged marriage, and I hope to God I never will. But their mindset is that they're going to get truth and clarity. They're going to have some revelations. They're going to be very determined, and they're going to honor and protect themselves, and I think definitely the people around them. Overall, the relationship is headed in a direction where, with the Ten of Cups, this feels like the dream come true has shattered. It feels as though something is missing from both of your lives, and the feelings of joy and bliss that you have experienced maybe previously with this connection are completely and utterly blocked. You're doubting your happily ever after, and the very things that you both desire, I don't think that you're going to be able to really get out of this connection. You just don't feel the same joy that you did before. And with the Nine of Swords in reverse, it kind of feels like when it's reversed, this can be one of two things. It could be that your worst nightmare is actually happening right in front of you, or that the fear is so strong that it's difficult to move past. Or it could be that you're realizing that your fears were just fears when it came to this relationship, and that you can actually safely move past them, knowing that it was never going to happen in the first place, if that makes sense. So we're going to get into some advice. Pile 3, I hope I wasn't too hard about the situation, and I hope that it was done in a fair light at the very least. We're going to do some advice cards, and this is me just pulling one card per person, and based on what the message says, you can interpret that for what you just want to do for yourself. So, all right, what is your advice for the Rescuer? We'll do Rescuer first. Focus on love. Look for the good in everyone. Focusing on love doesn't necessarily mean that you have to like be involved with the Fool anymore if you don't want to. But I think that when you have a drastic situation like that happen, it's really easy to fall into a state of mind where you lose trust in people in general, and you find a really hard time finding that love is genuine and honest anymore. So I think that if you feel hurt by what happened with the Fool, or the Fool feels hurt by what happened with you, focusing on looking at the good qualities of other people will really help you get through a dark time like that. So this doesn't necessarily have to mean the Fool in general. All right, the Fool. What are some advice cards for the Fool? Easier said than done, of course. I'm saying this on the other side of things. I can't imagine going through a situation like this, to be honest with you. So my condolences. Listen with your heart. You are listening, but need to hear the loving heart. Yeah. I think that the Fool has been trying to avoid their own truth for a while. The Fool definitely needs to also take on the same advice of like focusing on love and trying to see people from their perspectives as well, like maybe having more empathy for people in terms of understanding where they're coming from and trying to see people in a good light even if something bad has happened to them as well. So obviously I don't know your situation, pile 3. It kind of seems like it's very heavy on either side of things, so I'm not here to judge. I hope things work out for both of you, and that whatever happens is fair, and that, you know, you guys can move on from things and have healthy relationships with other people, however you choose to do that. If this resonated with you, please like, share, subscribe, comment down below. If not, totally understand. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.